there, my lovely gardening friends. How are you today? I'm Mark. I'm a biotech geek and your gardening freak. Today, we will discuss about a subject that I have promised to cover, and that is the fantastic world of orchids right here. I mean, the orchids are extremely lovely. They're absolutely easy to grow. Well, some are more difficult than others, but this one here, the butterfly orchid, is very easy to grow, and this will be the subject of many more videos to come. So let's cover a little bit about the world of orchids. Well, there are lots of them. First of all, I mean, there are 4 times more species of orchids than there are species of mammalian animals that live on Earth. So it gives you an idea of how diverse this group is. And also, they are found everywhere on Earth, not just the tropical areas of the world, but everywhere, including perhaps the only one specimen that's grown in some kind of scientific base by a scientist down there in Antarctica. Yes, maybe there's one there, and if it is found in that research base, well then, we can say that orchids cover all 5 continents because they are everywhere. It's a very, very ubiquitous group. And they are ancient. Well, yes, they are ancient, but not that ancient. Let me just relativize a little bit. The first flowering plants appeared on Earth something like 200 million years ago, and that was during the Triassic period. Okay, and some appeared in the Jurassic period, but orchids appeared in the Cretaceous period. So that was 112 million years ago. And there are also species of orchids that are much more recent. They are more modern. They appeared during the Eocene period. That was something like 35 million years ago. Not when the world was dominated by reptiles, but when it was dominated by mammals. And the reason for the fact that they are so successful is because they have developed symbiosis to the best degree. First of all, symbiosis with insects, because their shape, their perfume, and their smell will attract pollinating insects by hordes, and also they are very specialized to some kinds of insects as well. That will be the subject of another video. Also, the orchids have been able to make an association with a mushroom. So, the association between a plant and a mushroom is called the symbiosis.
You're fired.
And the mushroom that lives with orchids is a very special kind of microscopic mushroom. It is called Rhizoctonia. It is a mycorrhizae for orchids, but for other plants, all other plants, Rhizoctonia is a very dangerous pathogen. So this is it. The orchids have been able to transform a foe into an ally, and together they conquered continents. This is absolutely stunning. And well, their culture used to be reserved to the elite, because there are 3 groups of orchids when you consider their culture. You have the orchids that grow in a warm, hot greenhouse. You have orchids that grow in a cool greenhouse. And you have the ones like this one here, Phalaenopsis, that grows in a temperate greenhouse. So the fact that orchids are able to grow in a temperate habitat explains why it's easy for even beginners to be very successful with orchids. And once you fall in the orchid world, I mean, it's very difficult to escape from it because it is absolutely splendid. And back to plant evolution now, just a few little words. Now, we can say without the shadow of a doubt that in the plant world, orchids occupy the same level of evolution as humans in the animal world because they are extremely specialized and they are extremely well positioned in the biosphere, in the ecological ecosystems. They can grow just about everywhere and they make an association with a mushroom. Also, when plants appeared on the earth, that was eons ago, that was billions of years ago in the oceans. And they were able to grow as a unicellular life form as phytoplankton. And some of those cells, some of those organisms discovered that it brought them a selective advantage. Remember neo-Darwinism? So it brought them an advantage at the level of selection to grow together in clumps and then in more complex organisms until the first seaweed appeared in the bottom of the shallow oceans. And now here's something special. Some of those seaweeds have been able to grow in the intertidal zone. That is the zone between the low tide and the high tide. And this is exactly the type of transition ecosystem that allowed seaweed to evolve into the first land plant that was called Cooksonia. And this happened 450 million years ago during a period called the Silurian. And then Cooksonia has been able to evolve and occupy more and more ecological niche until we had the first true vascular plants that could develop a rigid stem. So these plants could stand upright instead of being squashed on themselves like the seaweed we see during the low tide. Okay? So this ecosystem is a very important one and it exists because we have the chance of having a natural satellite that turns around this wonderful planet Earth, which is really our one and only miraculous home in the entire universe. So just because of the fact that there is a moon, you have an intertidal zone between high tide and low tide because of the gravitational pull of the moon over the oceans. And there you have it. Some opportunistic seaweed have been able to adapt to this very special transition zone. And it's very unlikely that plants would have been able to conquer continents if there was no moon at all. And then they evolved those stems, and later on they evolved those beautiful flowers in order to attract insects, to make a symbiotic association with insects. And in the ground, you know what happened. The plants have been able to make an association with bacteria and with beneficial fungi. And this is exactly what you encourage by providing your plants their weekly dose of BIOPONIX soil conditioner. So when you combine the BIOPONIX soil conditioner with the BIOPONIX liquid plant nutrient, you provide the perfect conditions for this symbiosis to occur and to allow your plants to be fed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, year-round, with the fertilizers, organic fertilizers that you provide them, so that you have a living soil. This is exactly what explains the success of all plants, the success of plants of all kinds in nature, simply because they've been able to make this wonderful win-win-win interaction with fungi and with bacteria found in the soil. So, this is it. This is the story of orchids. They are absolutely fantastically well evolved for living on land. They live on 5 continents. They diversify into an incredible variety of species and colors and shapes and sizes. And what allowed their evolution was this wonderful association between them and a mushroom. So this kind of event was a quantum leap in their evolution. It was really, like we can say, a giant step for plant kind. Have I heard something a little bit like that? Is it something like a giant leap for mankind? Who said that? Yeah, I remember. I mean, he had a strange outfit. Where was he again? Could it be the first man who walked on the moon? Wow! This is where we had our own giant leap, on the moon, on this very celestial body that allowed plants to conquer continents. Slowly, gradually, through the process of adaptation, selection, speciation, and evolution on the long term. So this is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for sharing the videos. It will serve a very good cause. I'm talking about urban agriculture, the living soils, food resiliency, food sovereignty, and of course the production of food without pesticides, without salt-based plant nutrients. We're talking about the Green Revolution 2.0. So this is a tribute to Dr. Norman Borlaug. Let's now bring it to another level, the living soil. Dr. Borlaug didn't think much about the living soils, but he solved the problem of world hunger. So let's do the same thing. Let's find a good inspiration and let's reach for the stars, okay? So thank you. Take good care of your lovely indoor plants, whether they are tropical vines like this lovely little guy here, or a beautiful orchid, or a banana tree like Valerie here. Yes, she always enjoys a good company. And in the meantime, have a great day and we'll see you soon. Ciao for now.